Yes, I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman, Alfred.
I'm Batman.
I am Batman.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman.
Greetings, Bat Family. Welcome back to Holy BatCast, brought to you by Real Fans for Real Movies. Make sure you visit our website, holybatcast.com. It's your one-stop shop for all things Holy BatCast, but you can also find us all over the internet on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast, and you will find us. And if you love the show, you want to help support the show and become an official member of our family, you can do that on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/holybatcast. And for that, I've got to give out some shout-outs to some new patrons. First patron here is Ron Messbarger. I'm sorry, Ron. Ron Messbarger, who we have heard from over the years. And so, Ron, great to see you on here. Thank you for joining. We appreciate it. It does mean a lot to us. And then also Mark Joss. So Mark Joss, thank you as well. Always great to have you guys on board. And again, we know you don't have to do it, so it means a lot that you do. So thank you, Ron and Mark. We're happy to have you. What else? We're part of the Real Fans Podcast Network. You can check out those shows at rf4rm.com. And as always, I'm your host, Andy DiGenova. You can follow me on Twitter or on Instagram. It's just my name, Andy DiGenova. So this episode, we're going to catch up on what is going on around the DC universe, all the latest and greatest news, including Ray Fisher and what he has to say about Joss Whedon, as well as some mysteries coming at DC FanDome and a couple other miscellaneous bits and bobs. And then we are going to review the next episode of Batman Beyond. We're going to return to that. Yeah, just when you think we've forgotten, we do it. And then as always, we got emails. Because we always got emails, so we'll answer those. And joining me for all of that is my pal. He is the Joss Whedon to my Ray Fisher.
Oh, lovely.
He's abusive. He's gross. He's inappropriate. And he has been empowered or enabled. He's been enabled by Jamie Drewley. It's Brendan Lowe.
How are you son of a bitch?
I'm fine. I'm all right. What a week. Oh, my God. And I got to...
Talk to me. It's been a hell of a week. That's not even including the DC stuff from my world, but yeah.
That is true. Life just gets crazy, and some of it's good, some of it's bad. It's a lot, but hey, you're living it. You're in for the ride.
I'm doing something.
Exactly. It's better than doing nothing. So, yeah, I hear you. And I should say, this wasn't supposed to be the episode that people were getting this week. So,
I'm the ring-in.
You are, yep, you, as always, you're sitting on the bench just being like, put me in, coach, and when I get desperate, and it just so happens I'm desperate a lot, here you are.
Yeah. You're not cheating, but you're desperate.
That's true. That's exactly true. So, the best laid plans and all that. So I even put on the Twitter, I rewatched the entire season of Watchmen from the fall, the HBO Watchmen series, because I wanted to cover it on the show ever since I watched it the first time, and it felt particularly relevant, and I know Jamie loved it, and me and Jamie had plans, and we had another guest who was joining us to talk about that, and we were so excited, and I rewatched the whole thing in 2 days, and then our guest had a family problem, and it had to get delayed, and I was like, well, damn it. Okay, so now we've got no episode for the week, and so I thought this was okay, because we could kind of chat about everything that's happening, and on the show, I'd be able to give the heads up to the listeners like, hey, for the next episode, if you haven't watched Watchmen yet, this would be a good time, because that way you'll be all up to speed. You've got a few days or, a week-ish to watch season 1 of Watchmen. Or right now it's season only of Watchmen. We'll see how long that lasts. But to watch the Watchmen. And then that way you'll be all up to speed when we finally do it. So I figured, well, this works too. And there were things to talk about. So Brendan, thanks as always for jumping in.
Not a problem. I can't think of a better way to see out the weekend.
Absolutely,
well, I
yeah.
But it's not possible, so.
Right. Yeah, it's Sunday evening here. I did try to get Jamie on, but it's, really early there, and he was being social last night for the 4th of July, and so I think he is nestled snug in his bed right now. Is my best guess. Just looking like a little angel, just curled up with his little blankie, dreaming about superheroes, as he does.
Not at all drunk.
Not at all passed out drunk.
On his porch.
He could be nestled all snug in the backyard in a pool of his own vomit. That's also possible. I can't be sure. But yeah, so anyway, there's your heads up, folks, for next time Watchmen from HBO. If that's something that interests you, and I should just say, it should interest you. It's great. I'll at least tell you that. It's great. Watch it. It's 9 episodes. They go by quick. Absolutely worth the watch because we want to talk about it in more depth next time. So now you got a little bit of a warning. But we had other stuff to talk about first, Brendan, about what's happening this week. And I'm trying to think of where to start. I guess we just start with the biggie, right? And then move on from there because it's yeesh. There was a bomb dropped. Yeah, a Twitter bomb dropped. Thanks to Ray Fisher, our cyborg from Justice League. Oh, man. So what happened first is he pulled a video of himself from Comic-Con before Justice League came out. And where he said, Joss is a great guy, and Zach picked the right guy to come finish things up for him, something like that. And Ray Fisher retweeted it. And honestly, if you're listening to this, you already know, but it's okay. We'll cover it anyway. Ray Fisher retweeted it saying, I'd like to take a moment to retract every part of this statement. And everybody was like, oh, damn. Like, what is this?
Where'd this come from?
Hey, yeah. Like, where did this come from? And then like a day or two later, he added a little more to those thoughts. And so here's what he said. He said, and this was on the 2nd, or at least where I am, it was on the 2nd. It could have been the 1st back in the States. But he said, Joss Whedon's on-set treatment of the cast and crew of Justice League was gross, abusive, unprofessional, and completely unacceptable. He was enabled in many ways by Jeff Johns and John Berg. Accountability greater than entertainment. Damn.
Cyborg dropped the mic, son.
Oh my God. Yeah. And this happened, I think, while I was asleep.
Yes, because I woke up to it as well.
Yeah. So I woke up and Twitter was on fire. I was, and especially the Holy BatCast Twitter, because of course it's all DC people.
Yes.
And oh my God, what I walked into, just holy crap. And it's funny because I that's what I tweeted. I was like, wow, waking up to Twitter this morning, and it's that GIF from Community where Donald Glover's walking in and the whole place is just chaos.
Yeah.
And it's funny.
The Grandpa Simpson meme where it's just like he walks in, puts his head up, walks back out.
Oh my God, no kidding. And Michael Lyons, our dear friend Michael Lyons, who's just the nicest person, he texts me. He goes, I saw your tweet. Are you okay? Is everything okay? I'm like, oh, it's DC drama. Personally, I'm fine. It's just DC drama. And he's like, oh, okay. I'm like, yeah. I guess the additional context to this piece is that that's what he put out there. And yeah, the world exploded. Joss Whedon did not respond. But he liked some things of people defending him. So he obviously was paying attention. But he didn't respond. And then I think it was Variety asked for a comment from Joss Whedon, and I guess he declined. And then they asked for a comment from John Berg, who was wait, hold on. Here we go. Whedon had no comment. This is all coming from Variety. Whedon had no comment. A representative for Warner Brothers did not immediately respond to a request for a comment. When reached for comment, John Berg told Variety that it was categorically untrue that we enabled any unprofessional behavior. I remember Fisher being upset that we wanted him to say booyah, which is a well-known saying of Cyborg in the animated series. So, that was that. So, Brendan, thoughts, feelings, reactions, opinions. Oh, man.
It's hard to know what to say, really. You know, we're not involved. We're not privy to, you know, to inside knowledge, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to...
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Kind
know
of
what I mean?
speechless?
Like,
so...
I can give you where I think my personal feeling is that both directors were caught between a rock and a hard place, you know, in that you've got Snyder, who had been given the keys to the kingdom, and then partway through, the people who gave him the keys weren't confident with him having them anymore. And, you know, he was then, whether it was, you know, what happened with his daughter, if there were other acts, you know, other things in play there, we'll probably never know the full story there either. You know, he left.
I think we will someday. I think someday we will get the full
probably.
story. Yeah.
Yeah.
But not yet.
He was no longer on the project, and you've got, you know, a cast and a crew that have been working with a director for years, and then a new guy comes in and he's got to try and do the job that he's hired to do as well. You know, and I'm sure there would have been some pushback from the cast. It's only natural. Like, it's, I guess, you know, it's the old thing when you're in school and you know, your favorite teacher's away and you've got some ring-in teacher that has to teach you for a lesson or two, and you act up a bit. You know, you've got your back up. And
yeah,
it's not the teacher's fault. Like, again, they're hired to do a job, and Joss was hired to do a job which was make a lighter, more family-friendly, fun comic book movie out of, you know, from what the information we have was a very, very dark, serious comic book movie had been filmed, and he had very little time to work with. Now, I'm not, you know, if there was genuine, you know, mistreating of cast, crew, whatever, I'm not defending that, but I'm just saying, you know, like, we don't know the full story. It's I think all parties involved, like I said, were caught between a rock and a hard place. There was, when Warner Brothers made the decision to course correct way too late, the train had already left the station.
Yeah.
It was a
they were trying to change the tires on the car as it was speeding down the highway. Yeah,
it was a no-win situation for all involved. I guess is the real opinion I have on it. So I've never been an anti-Zack Snyder guy. I've also never been what would be referred to, I guess, what do they call them, like the Zack cult or whatever. Like I've sort of kept away from all of that. I'm not a Joss Whedon fan, really. Like, I've seen his 2 Avengers movies, but that's pretty much the only work of his that I've seen. But I'm also not going to crucify the guy either for something that may or may not have happened, because, like I said, he had an impossible job to do. It could have been any director they called in to try and fit. It could have been Ron Howard. You know what I mean? And
wow. Yeah.
It would be the same outcome, I think, where, you know, it was too much too late, and yeah, everyone in the situation, there was no winners.
Yeah, I mean, I think you make a lot of valid points, and I think that is true. Is almost everyone was sort of in a shitty situation. You know, Zach got screwed because you're right. They were like, you're the guy. You're making our DC universe, and halfway through they're gonna go, no, never mind. We changed our mind. We don't like what you're doing anymore. We know you already made the movie, but you know what? See yourself out, and we'll take it from here. And after what happened, you know, after the reaction to Batman versus Superman, even with Justice League, they're like, well, we're already moving, so we keep moving, and we're just gonna be there the whole way, trying to course correct every day as we go. And so he's not even being able to make the movie as he would like to make it. So he's in a shitty situation. And then, yeah, he leaves. Joss comes in, and like you said, all these folks signed up to work with Zack Snyder. They all signed up to make the movie that Zack Snyder was making. That's what they signed up for. And now all of a sudden, sorry, old boss is gone. Here's the new boss. And the new boss wants you to do everything different and everything that you agreed to before. Forget all that. Now you got to agree with whatever the new boss says. So you're going to get a bunch of resistance there. And then, yeah, Joss signs up for the super high pressure thing of like, hey, fix this $300 million cruise ship that's in the middle of the ocean, and you got 2 months to do it, or whatever it is,
Yeah.
So it's super high pressure and shitty for everyone. So I will say that. And so I can kind of see every side of that argument. But what I will say is Joss knew what he was signing up for, He was I'm sure he was paid well for it, but at the same time, he knew you're essentially remaking a movie with a few months to go. So he did sign up for that.
That's
and
true.
Even though it's a high pressure situation and a shitty situation, that doesn't excuse treating your cast and crew inappropriately. As you said, we weren't there. We don't know what that really means. There are stories and rumors out there of what those things were. But it's all coming from people who weren't there either. So, I think that a lot of the people who want to string up Joss Whedon because of what happened, they don't know any more than any of us do. It's all hearsay. But I will say this, is for a long time now, I've given Joss Whedon the benefit of the doubt. Because I want to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. If I'm still the guy with Bob Kane. I want to give Bob Kane the benefit of the doubt. I want to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. That's just my problem. So for this whole drama with Justice League, I've always sort of given Joss the benefit of the doubt. Yeah. But here's the thing. Ray Fisher really doesn't have anything to gain by doing this, by saying this. And Ray Fisher was there. And so at this point, I've got to give Ray Fisher the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, that's true.
Because he is only setting himself up for struggles with his career by going public about something like this. And he obviously felt that there was that it was wholly inappropriate the way they were treated on set. And he doesn't have anything to gain by saying it. So I gave Joss the benefit of the doubt. Now I got to give Ray the benefit of the doubt. And I got to believe that, yeah, Joss probably did some stuff that was inappropriate. And that's not okay, no matter how high pressure a situation might be. You don't take it out on the people who are working for you.
Yeah, that's true. And I think the timing of it, the wheels are obviously very much moving on the Snyder Cut of Justice League. And Ray is very much Zack's boy. Yeah. He loves Zack and Zack loves him. And I think now that Zack is back in the picture and his version of the movie series, whatever it's going to be, is getting released, we're hearing the first quarter of next year from memory. That sort of came out a couple of days ago.
Yeah, that's the rumor, which is, exciting.
I think he probably feels that he can come out and say something now because Zack's back and the original movie is going to see the light of day. So it is. I do wonder if that weren't the case, if he would have just kept his mouth shut.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess he's got the backing of everyone now to come out and say it would be interesting to see if some of the quote unquote bigger names of the cast, like if they ever make any statements that kind of back it up as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, very interesting turn of events.
Yeah, and that's just it. Is like those are the other pieces. So yeah, I have no reason to doubt Ray Fisher, but there have been enough stories now that I do have reason to doubt Joss Whedon, and I don't want to. But guess what? Read the tea leaves. It is what it is.
Talk about dropping it's not pouring petrol on a bonfire, it's dropping a friggin' nuke on a fire that's already raging. Because Twitter every day.
Oh man, and I've honestly I've been on Twitter a lot less because of that. Because I'm into this stuff because I love it. I want to be excited about it. I want to have fun with it. But this kind of drama, to me, takes all the fun out of it. And again, that's not to say it's okay what happened. It's not. It's just I don't want to get sucked into this attacking of other people, because that's not why I want to talk about Batman. That's not why I want to talk about Justice League. Like, you know, like, so I just like have sort of been like, it just stresses me out. I don't want to be a part of it. But at the same time, I'm like, well, we have this show. I feel like we need to address it in the way that we can. But to your point, I do think that someday we'll get the whole story. I don't know when that day is, but my God, I can't wait for the tell-all documentary about Justice League. Because you're right, like right now, Ray Fisher is out there alone, flapping in the wind, and none of the other cast members have gone public to back him up. And I don't think it's because they don't want to, you know, I mean, but they all have more to lose because they have ongoing relationships. Yeah, they have more at stake. But yeah, like I want to hear from Jason Momoa and Gal Gadot and Ben Affleck. Honestly, if anyone could get away with it, it would be Ben Affleck, because he's Ben Affleck, you know, like, but like, yeah, I want the whole story. But kudos to Ray Fisher for having the big metal balls of Cyborg to just go for it, you know?
Can I say something? I don't know if this will be a popular comment or not. When I first saw that movie in the theater on opening night and he said "booyah," I got a real kick out of it.
Oh, I know. The booyah thing, that's so weird. So here's the thing. Like, I'm with you. Like, I thought that was great. It's a Cyborg thing. Like, it's his catchphrase, you know? Like, that's not bad. Who cares? Like, that's great. I'm glad it was in the movie. And I feel like a lot of fans were glad it was in the movie because, yeah, it's a Cyborg thing, you know? Like, so, but I also kind of understand that, like, Ray Fisher signed on to Zack Snyder's version of Cyborg, which isn't catchphrases or quips or, you know, like, Zack Snyder doesn't really do that. It's just such a different take on the characters. Zack takes it very seriously and, you know, very dramatically, and it's not quippy and it's not light and it's not fun. And then Joss Whedon comes in and he wants to make it that, and Ray Fisher and presumably some of the other cast members were like, wait, no, we just made Batman versus Superman. We don't quip like that. We're not the Avengers. And I think that's probably where the booyah thing came from, is they were, you know, Jeff Johns or Joss Whedon or whoever were like, oh, booyah, it's a Cyborg thing. Got to put it in there. And he's like, no, I didn't, you know, I was pitched this tormented version of Cyborg that I was going to portray. I didn't sign on for booyah.
Where do you stand on the Jeff Johns of it all?
Jeff Johns, I'm still giving the benefit of the doubt. If I'm, you know, maybe that's unpopular because a lot of Snyder fans are ready to string him up alongside Joss Whedon, but I feel like there is not enough evidence against Jeff Johns at this point that I'm ready to write him off yet.
I mean, again, Johns had a job to do. You know, if Warner Brothers have gone, you need to go in there and do this every day. I mean, it's not his fault. He's just been given a job to do.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, the guy understands the DC universe inside out, whether you like him or hate him. Like, he just does. It's his life. Like, but yeah, it's... To be a fly on the wall, hey?
Exactly. And I guess that's... I'll close with this, and then we can move on, because is that the whole thing, everything, from starting with the venomous reaction that Batman versus Superman got, and then the house of cards that fell after, that completely just made a shit show of the production of Justice League, it makes me so sad. Because as fans, we dreamt of a Justice League movie our entire lives. We never thought we would get a Justice League movie. And then we knew we were getting one. And to see something that we were so excited to finally get, that should have been this triumphant thing for DC fans, to see our favorite characters in fiction on the big screen together in a big movie, it should have been a cause for celebration. It should have been something that united us. Forgive the pun. It should have been something that like was joyous, and that it became so drama filled and, you know, backstabbing and firing and hiring and rewriting on set and reshoots and remaking the movie after the movie's already been shot and like allegedly rushed to get out in a release date so the CEO of Warner Brothers could get his bonus, and like all of this other crap that stood in the way of us just getting a Justice League movie is so depressing to me. And it breaks my heart. It still breaks my heart that this movie that could have been amazing, should have been amazing, got so wrapped up in this other crap that it just ruined the experience for almost everyone. For the talent who made it, from the first director to the second director, to the fans who wanted the Snyder cut, to the fans who enjoyed the Whedon cut, to the fans who wanted both, whatever. Everybody left unhappy because of what a freaking mess it was. And that is so sad to me.
Yeah, like I'm like everyone knows who listens to this show. I'm someone who can watch the theatrical cut and enjoy it for what it is. I genuinely can, but I can't. And it's kind of the same with BVS, to be honest. I can't watch those movies and separate myself from knowing all the shit that happened after and during. And it, I hate to say it as much as I don't want to let it, particularly with BVS, like it does dampen my experience of watching that movie as much as I genuinely like it, because I know it's like, oh, this is what started the downward spiral, you know, like this is where the wheels started to fall off. But in my closing, all I'll really say is thank Christ Wonder Woman and Aquaman were as far along as they were.
Yeah.
Because,
And that was,
I mean,
you know, we were chatting with Jamie and he said that too, is he goes, yeah, but I mean, if they had put the brakes on everything, we wouldn't have gotten Wonder Woman and Aquaman. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good point.
And how good are they? You know, like you would have thought, you know, if you have a movie with Batman and Superman in it, who would have thought that coming out of all of this, the shining lights are Wonder Woman and Aquaman?
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. But that's what it's like being a DC fan.
Yeah, right. I mean, and I guess, you know, silver lining time is, I feel like if you really want to lay the blame, I feel like it starts with Kevin Tsujihara, right? Like, you know, he was the head of Warner Brothers.
Rolls downhill.
Yeah, like, but most of that regime, including Jeff Johns and John Berg, are all gone or have moved on to other things. And the new regime of Jim Lee and Walter Hamada, they seem to have a better handle on things. Like it feels like less of a mess than it did post BVS, you know, like, so I want to believe, again, stupid me being optimistic, I want to believe the worst is behind us. And we've been rebuilding since, and the new regime is confident enough in the talent that they hire to let them do their jobs, because it was all the executive meddling that made such a mess of Suicide Squad and Justice League, really. Like, it was those two were the ones that really just became a mess. And I still like I still like watching both of them, but you're right, like, it's so hard to remove all of that drama that we know about when you're just trying to watch a movie now.
Yeah, it's all the baggage that comes with it now, unfortunately. But yeah, it kind of feels like they've given, you know, time for the dust to settle, and now they're starting to slowly put the pieces back together. And I think step one of that is the Snyder Cut release. And then obviously one of the last times we spoke, you know, Flashpoint, that sort of stuff. Like it feels like they could be getting back on track, but again, I'm like you. I'm an optimist. I mean, you know, but we've been burnt before.
Well, right, yeah. I mean, and I'll own it. Like, I was the optimist going into Justice League, being like, "Oh, it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. Don't worry about it." I'm the one who walked out of the premiere being like, "I loved it." You know, I know it. People have been happy to remind me. So yeah, I love this stuff. That's why I do this. Is because I love this stuff and I want to love this stuff.
Yep.
But
Agreed.
I hope I hope we're onward and upward. And yeah, so, but it's just crazy that, like, just when you think, like, they announced the Zack Snyder's Justice League. We're going to get his vision. He's going to get to complete his vision. It's great. That's awesome. I can't wait to see it. I kind of thought, okay, great, like, onward and upward. And then this thing happens, and it's like, nope, here comes the shit again,
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, that's that. We'll see how it goes. Again, someday we'll get the full story, but in the meantime, we will look forward to Zack Snyder's Justice League, and he's apparently deep into it. He's responding to people on Vero saying he is full steam ahead, making it happen. So that's always exciting to hear, and I can't wait. And apparently he said we might get another tease before DC FanDome.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, like, that's kind of exciting. So I hope that's true. Yeah. Because I'll always take more to get excited about. But anyway, yeah, that'll be great. We have that to look forward to. We have a lot going on right now, lots of content. I mentioned earlier Watchmen, so for the folks who need to watch it, I highly recommend watching it. It was made free for like a week on, I want to say it was on Hulu, which was great, but I think it's already gone. So I think it's on HBO Max now. It's definitely on HBO Max, but yeah, it's out there. But we've been getting other like good DC content through DC Universe or through HBO Max because Doom Patrol's back.
Yes.
Have you been watching Doom Patrol?
I haven't seen the latest episode. I saw the first 3.
Yeah, me too. I watched the first 3. I still need to watch the 4th. But man, like, boy, they didn't miss a beat.
It's such a bonkers show.
It's so good, though. It's such an amazing show. Like, I'm loving it. I'm really loving it. It's, they're doing interesting things that I didn't see coming, but that's sort of the joy of Doom Patrol. Is it often is things you don't see coming. Yep. And I didn't know much about Dorothy, so she is great. That's not a spoiler because they set her up in the finale of season 1, but she's great. I didn't, I was kind of ignorant about her character, and she's awesome. And they're diving into some really great themes while still doing their insane Doom Patrol thing. Yeah.
The thing about it is I don't bring any baggage to that show because I think I said last year when we were watching season 1, like I downloaded 2 of the graphic novels when Comixology had a sale. I still haven't gotten to them yet, so I still don't have any outside knowledge of the characters in their world. I just sort of give take what the show gives me, and it certainly gives a lot. It's a hell of a ride. It's crazy, it's bizarre, it's funny, it's heartbreaking, it's romantic, it's so many things, but it seems to work. And it's so bizarre that out of all the things that the shows that DC Universe have, that this seemed to be the one that HBO Max embraced. It's like, no, this is ours now.
Yeah.
Out of all of them, it's crazy.
Well, I feel like they all got good reviews, but I feel like Doom Patrol was almost the breakout because, to your point, most people didn't have very high expectations. Not that they weren't looking forward to it, but Doom Patrol doesn't come with the marquee name value. And so I think people were like, oh, sure, Doom Patrol. And I think everybody was just, including myself, just blown away by how good it is. And it was critically acclaimed. And, HBO, their brand are these critically acclaimed television shows like Watchmen, like Game of Thrones, etc. And so I felt like they just went, yeah, this show is so much better than anyone was expecting, and it's very consistent with what HBO generally produces it. And it had a lot of buzz and again, a lot of acclaim, and they're like, yeah, it's part of HBO Max now.
Big names in the cast too.
Yeah, that's true too. So, no, Doom Patrol season 2 so far, so good. I'd say it's like 95% hitting all the marks. I had one little struggle with, I felt like Cliff was a little much. He was being a little unreasonable.
Yeah.
Where I kind of wanted to smack him and go, dude, settle down.
I will say, it's not a spoiler. People who haven't seen it won't have a clue what I'm talking about. But all I'll say is when he came out wearing that pelt, killed me. Absolutely killed me.
I mean, he's still entertaining as all get out. He was just a little too like amped up, and I'm like, we need to pull it back a bit. But again, that's kind of the point. And then they already have, so
yeah, I'm
not worried about it. But man, like it's just amazing. So yeah, like you, I've never really read any of the books or anything. I've thought about jumping into them on DC Universe, but I just haven't gotten to them yet. But do you know what I have been reading on DC Universe is Stars and Stripe.
Oh, no, I thought you were talking about the thing you put on Twitter the other day.
Oh, well, I shared that on Twitter. But yes, I read the entire run of Blue Devil. Thank you very much. Got those DC Universe tokens, and I read the entire run. But no, I've also been reading Stars and Stripe, sort of in conjunction with watching Stargirl. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, we've probably read the same one. Is it sort of the artwork, like very sort of cartoony looking artwork and stuff? Yeah. I started reading it and sort of dropped out about halfway through. I wasn't loving it. I enjoy the show a lot more than I was enjoying reading that comic. I agree. Yeah. I mean, I thought it's fun to read it to see what they're pulling from for the show. But the show's better. Because in the comic, Courtney is kind of a jerk.
I said to Jess, I was like, I don't know if you've read this, because Jess loves Stargirl, because she read the Jeff Johns run of JSA back in the mid-2000s. She knows more about JSA than I do. And I'm like, I don't know if you ever read this, but I'm like, Courtney's a bitch. She's not a very likable character.
Yeah, and again, that was at the very beginning, so like I feel like she evolved, but yeah, like she's hard to root for because she is kind of a jerk and she's very mean to Pat. In the show, they did such a great job of her being resistant to Pat, but still not being awful to him. Like it's just the relationship is a lot more nuanced, and I think the actors do a lot of that heavy lifting. But on the show, Courtney and Pat, they have, it's still a reluctant partnership, but like there's a little more respect there. But I'm loving Stargirl. I think the show is great.
Yeah, and I was going to say before, talking about Jeff Johns, it's like, that show's him. Like, he is responsible for that show, and it's great.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, it's the whole thing of, like, there's the art and the artist, and, like, I've always loved Jeff Johns' work. As a person, I've only ever heard good things about him. This thing with Ray Fisher is, one of the few negative things I've heard about Jeff Johns. So that's why I'm still sort of giving him the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, as far as his work goes in the DC universe, it's always been stellar.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there was an episode a couple episodes ago of Stargirl that was like a Halloween episode, and I was like, oh, this is the best. Love it.
Yeah, they've ticked all the boxes for you, haven't they?
Oh man, and the music continues to be great. But no, it's really good. I love it. And again, much like Doom Patrol, it was one that I didn't have a very high expectations for, and it's been such a nice surprise. Like when the new episode hits, I'm like, oh good, yay, new Stargirl. So
did you see
I'm
who
really
directed
impressed
last
with
week's episode?
Was it Leah Thompson?
It was Leah Thompson.
Yeah, I love that.
She's done a few DC shows
directs.
now.
Yeah, I think that's so cool. So yeah, that show I've been really enjoying. And then Harley wrapped up.
Yeah.
So, I know that's your show. Like of all of them, that's your favorite one.
It's the best. I absolutely adore that show so much. I hope it gets a third season. I really do.
I have a hunch it will, because again, much like Doom Patrol, it ended up being very buzzy. Like there was a lot of buzz around it, especially like as things progressed. And I want to say we heard that's going to jump to HBO Max eventually.
Yeah, well, because is it Sci-Fi have it now or something?
Yeah, like it's going to start airing on Sci-Fi, but I think eventually it will make its way to HBO Max, which again, I truly think all the video is going to go to HBO Max, and then DC Universe will just be comics, which is fine. I've been using it for comics, and as long as they keep the $4.99 price point, it's worth it. But yeah, so great show. But I do think it'll get renewed. I might have liked season 1 better.
Well, I think.
What was that?
I think it's meant to have a presence at FanDome as well.
Yes, it will. So they might announce it there.
I would hope so.
But anyway, I was saying I think I liked season 1 better than season 2. Just because I guess I just didn't get into the whole post-apocalyptic Gotham. I think it was that. Like, it just felt like and then like parademons and stuff. I was like, it got a little too out there as far as like the setting goes. Like I guess I liked them knocking around like normal Gotham, not this no man's land Gotham.
Yeah, it kind of swung for the fences. It's bizarre though, because I still, even though yes, it was, you know, technically season 1 and season 2, to me it very much felt like one complete season. And we've sort of surmised that before, where the episode count is kind of standard for a full season of a show, and they just kind of split it in two and call it season 1 and season 2.
Yeah.
But no, I still love it.
Accurate.
Every episode would just crack me up. Such a good show.
Yeah, but no, it is hysterical, and yeah, it was one that we loved watching. It's so good. So, yep. If you guys haven't caught up on Harley Quinn, there was the finale, and yeah, I mean, people were sharing the ending again before I even had a chance to watch it, but it's hilarious. It's great. Check it out. I loved it. Speaking of animation, though, we got a little news that is like Batman adjacent this week, but still worth mentioning.
Yeah, I know what this is. It's so bizarre is what it is, but carry on.
It's insane, but I'm into it. Of course I am.
Of course you are.
Obviously. So, yeah, they released a trailer, and let me find it. A trailer and some news.
Actually.
Yes. So, it is a new animated movie coming this year called Happy Halloween, Scooby-Doo. So, it is a Halloween animated Scooby-Doo movie.
Which
already
is the first one they've ever done. I'm like, that can't be right. Like, it feels like that should have been done in the 70s or something. Like,
I know, isn't that? It is strange, but I believe them because, yeah, like, Scooby-Doo has always been about, like, spooky and ghosts, but, yeah, like, because of that, they've never really gone into Halloween.
Yeah. It's tailor-made for
which is bizarre. It feels like a no-brainer. Should have happened long ago. But it's called Happy Halloween, Scooby-Doo, and it is direct-to-video animated movie, and it features one of the loves of my life, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. And so that's amazing. And there is a trailer, and yes, it's very Halloween-y. There's like, you know, jack-o'-lanterns and pumpkins and everything, so totally a Halloween movie. But the villain is none other than Jonathan Crane, the Scarecrow.
Yes, and there's no mention of Batman at all.
Yeah. Not at all. So yeah, no mention of Batman, but it has the Scarecrow. So it's featuring a Batman villain, which I think is awesome. Which does lead me to believe that there might be a cameo at a certain point.
If I was a betting man, I'd put money on it.
Yeah, because, you know, they did the Scooby-Doo and Batman the Brave and the Bold, which is still one of my favorites, by the way.
It's good, yeah.
It's so great. And so, yeah, like, you're going to use the Scarecrow. I feel like Batman's going to show up in one way or another. But even if he doesn't, we've gotten emails for years now of like, oh, if there was going to be a Batman villain movie, what would it be? And I'd always go, it should be a Scarecrow movie set on Halloween. That's what it should be. And this isn't exactly what I envisioned, but you know what? For now, I'll take it. Because also Elvira. So I can't freaking wait. I think it's going to be awesome.
If you're Bill Nye, the science guy as well, he's in there.
Yep, that is true too. So anyway, I can't wait. Count me in. Day one purchase.
Yeah, look, as I was watching the trailer yesterday, I was just grinning. No, I mean, look, I enjoyed the trailer, but it's not, not something I'm chomping at the bit for. I was more confused by it than anything. It was like, this is a bizarre mix. But I was grinning because I was just like, oh, Andy's going to love this. Yep.
I'm excited. So, yeah, I had to mention that. It's awesome. And it does feature the Scarecrow, which, so, it's Batman related. So that's awesome. But Elvira's the one who shared that. It's always nice when celebrities promote their things and they get to talking about their projects. And recently, do you know who else was talking? Was Henry Cavill.
He was.
So he did an interview with Variety, and they asked him about all these rumors about him returning as Superman. And here's what he says. They said they asked him about him returning as Superman, and that every week there seems to be new rumors. And he says they get wilder and wilder by the day. The amount of speculation, the stuff I read on the internet, is extraordinary and sometimes frustrating. It's when you see people stating stuff as fact, like, no, that's not the case, this hasn't happened, and that conversation isn't happening. But the important thing is that people are excited about it, and I think it's important to be excited about a character like Superman. He's a fantastic character. If people are chatting about it, and even if they're making stuff up, it's okay, because that means they want to see the character again, and in an ideal world, I would absolutely love to play the character again. And then they asked him, do you ever comment on stuff that you see, even anonymously? And he says, I'm not going to lie, I've been very tempted, but there's something about that feels immoral. When it's about Superman, and if I'm representing Superman, it just feels like the wrong thing to do. I'm just going to let this all play out. Me saying something isn't going to make a difference. What does it matter? One day people will know the truth, and if they don't know it now, it's okay.
He's such a good guy.
But number one, I feel him because, and you know this, nothing drives me more crazy than seeing bullshit on the internet and people being like, nope, this is happening. This is fact. This is really what's happening. And I'm
well,
like,
Affleck's back. He signed a new contract.
Stop it. So I feel him. And then again, in my work, what I do, I see a lot of false information about things in what I do in theme parks, and I spend so much time biting my tongue and being like, wrong, you are wrong, but I can't say anything. I just got to shut up and let it be. So I feel his pain here. But interesting, obviously he's not saying anything other than, there's a lot of crap out there and a lot of people make stuff up, and he just has to be quiet about it because eventually the truth will come out.
Yeah. I can't wait for that truth to come out.
Yeah, I mean, me too. Any other thoughts on that before we move on?
Oh, not really. Just that Henry's a champion, and I can't wait to see him suit up again.
Yeah. So, I know. And hopefully we will. Maybe we will. And there's always the possibility, because coming soon is DC FanDome. And that is now just over a month. No, 6 weeks. More like 6 weeks away.
Yeah.
Give or take. But it's already up, like the site is already up and running, and I guess you can already submit questions to the different panels.
Oh, I haven't actually checked the site out yet. I'll need to have a look at it.
I haven't either. I've just seen the screenshots, because that's what leads us to the next topic.
Yes.
Is that people have been going on there, and they're like, oh, if you want to ask a question about the Suicide Squad, or you want to ask a question about the Batman, there's options to choose from. But two of the options are Mystery Movie Number 1 and Mystery Movie Number 2. So, of course, DC fans are like, what are those? Tell me more. But number one, it's really hard to ask a question when you don't even know what the movie is.
Yeah.
I should submit one just because. Yeah. I can just go,
This Blue
who
Devil
is your favorite
movie that you're talking about? Like,
Yes. Who is your favorite character and why is he Blue Devil? But according to this site, it implies that there are 2 mystery DC movies that will be announced at DC FanDome. So a lot of speculation online about what could these be. One of the biggest ones is, of course, another Superman movie with Henry Cavill, which,
yes, take
my money, I'd be all about it. Please do. That certainly seems like a possibility. But here are kind of the options that I've been hearing get thrown around. So let me know if you've heard anything different, because I want to hear what you think are the most likely candidates. So Superman, obviously. Justice League Dark, people have started talking about again. Zatanna is one that was a rumor that just surfaced a day or two ago.
Yeah, that it's in development or something.
Yeah. Green Lantern, again, Green Lantern Corps, Batgirl, Gotham City Sirens, and Batman Beyond.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else that you've heard that I didn't mention? Because these are the ones that I've sort of seen people get throwing around.
Not that I've seen, no.
Okay. So, taking that into account, what do you think? What do you think are like the likely candidates, or what is your wish list of what these two could be?
In terms of what's likely, I don't know.
Well, what good are you?
Well, I don't know. The two out of the list that you use, it's hard to narrow it down to two. The ones I'd like to see the most out of that list is, well, I mean, I would love to see another Superman movie with Cavill. Mm-hmm. Gotham City Sirens is one that I do want to see. I've been saying for 4 years now, like, I want a Harley and Ivy movie. And the animated series has just made me want that so much more. Like, I really want... And I thoroughly enjoy Birds of Prey, but I don't know if I want it to be quite that extreme. Like, sort of pull it back a bit. I don't want to say make it more family-friendly, but, you know, I don't particularly want to see, like, an R-rated version of Harley and Ivy on the big screen. Mm-hmm. Batgirl is obviously one that I'd love to see as well. The Batman, I don't know, with Keaton, like, it does make you kind of think Batman Beyond, but I don't know, like, I kind of would like to see them take the model of Batman Beyond and tweak it a bit, like maybe, you know, particularly for, you know, the world we live in today, and make the Batgirl movie kind of the new DC extended universe version of Batman Beyond. Like, Bruce can be mentoring Batgirl in the same way that he does Terry. That's what I'd like to see, but I mean, it could be anything. I'd probably discount Justice League Dark just because of the HBO Max series. I think that's where that property will land, will be on television long form storytelling. But I mean, look, at the end of the day, I'll take anything they give me. But
yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. I feel like Justice League Dark and Green Lantern Corps, I don't think those are coming because those are both supposed to be shows on HBO Max. It doesn't mean they couldn't have changed their mind. You know, maybe in the development of the show, they went, you know what, this should be a movie. So it's certainly possible, but I just feel like, well, those seem likely for HBO Max. Zatanna, I really have a hard time believing that one. You know, nothing's impossible, but I just am like, of all the DC characters, Zatanna a solo movie? Like, that just seems weird to me.
That'd be something for again, like TV, but more like a DC Universe series. Like, get Paul Dini in, similar like they did with Jeff Johns. Get him with Stargirl. Like, get Paul Dini. Like, no one writes Zatanna like Paul Dini. Get him to write a series and put it on DC Universe. Like, well, or
less of a have her in Justice League Dark and then spin her off into something if you want. But yeah, like, it just seems, again, like, of all the possible solo films you could do, that one is a bit like, really? Like a Zatanna movie of all the things? I mean, I think the most likely are also probably the two I would be most excited about, which is Superman and Batgirl. Like, to me, those both seem like really likely candidates. You know, yes, there have been murmurs about Cavill and Superman now for months. To his point, a lot of them aren't true, but there's still been a lot of talk, and I think it would be a really great fan-pleasing announcement to be like, yes, he's coming back, and we're getting a new Superman movie. So, to me, that makes a lot of sense. Yep. And then, and then maybe he does cameos leading up to that new Superman movie. Who knows? And then Batgirl is something that has been in active development, and it's something that I think people would want, and it's, you know, it's still connected to Batman, but it can be its own thing, and so I just feel like that could also be very possible. I think Christina Hodgson was still writing it, so I it still seems like maybe that one has moved forward. But you're right, Gotham City Sirens, certainly possible as almost a quasi-sequel to Birds of Prey. And then, yeah, you're right, Batman Beyond, like, if Keaton's coming, back and they're going to announce that, it would make sense to, well, then let's, as long as we've got him, then let's also do Batman Beyond with him.
Yeah. Everyone knows how I feel about Beyond.
Yeah, I know. But like, I feel like those 4 are all potential candidates. Although it would be kind of cool that like one of these is one that no one speculated out of left field, and we'd all be like, yeah, it's Booster Gold and Blue Beetle. Like, what? Okay, but yeah, it'll be really interesting. But yeah, I've seen a lot of speculation, but still exciting nonetheless.
Definitely.
But I don't know if we're going to get a Batman Beyond movie. I still think someday we'll get a Batman Beyond movie. I don't know if it'll be sooner than later, but certainly possible. But in the meantime, Batman Beyond is still on DC Universe, or maybe it's on your shelf at home. And we hadn't reviewed an episode of Batman Beyond in a while, so we figured it's time to return to it. So, let's do that. Let's review the next episode of Batman Beyond. All right, so the next one up, this is Season 2, Episode 11, Revenant. This one aired on December 11th of 1999. And so, Revenant, it seems like there might be a ghost or a poltergeist at Hamilton Hill High School. Strange things are happening. Things are floating, people are getting attacked by invisible forces, and they think it could be the student who passed away like, whatever, a year or two ago. So they all think it's this ghost. And all the girls look him up, and he's like this dreamy guy who passed away, and they're like, oh, we should have a seance. We should talk to this guy. So they do. They have a seance in the gym, and they summon the ghost, and things go wrong, and the ghost attacks and attacks the jock guy, Nelson, someone or other, who was sort of the bully that we had seen previously. Batman shows up, and when Batman tries to protect Nelson, this ghost attacks him, and we're like, oh my god. So Terry is starting to believe maybe it is. Maybe there is a ghost. And Terry's little brother hears about all this too, and he wants to have a seance for his dead dad because he's like, I'm starting to forget about him, and I want to see him. I want to talk to him again, which is like really sad. Yeah. Bruce isn't convinced it's a ghost, and there's a great line where Bruce says, oh, I've seen it all. I've seen demons and witch boys and immortals and zombies, but this whole ghost thing, it feels just a little too high school. And so Terry started making connections to everybody this ghost is attacking, and he makes all these connections, and he's like, oh, it's no ghost. It is, what's his name? Willie Watt?
Something like that.
Yes, Willie Watt. It's Willie Watt. And you have to go back to season 1 to remember Willie Watt. Willie Watt was the little nerdy kid who controlled the golem. And so he was in love with like one of the girls from the school, and yeah, he tried to get back at the bully, and so we're like, somehow it's Willie Watt. So Terry goes to see Willie Watt, who's still locked up, and Willie Watt has been working out. He's no longer skinny little nerd. He has been working out, and now he's like buff and, buff Willie Watt. And he's like 2 months away from getting released, and Terry's talking him through it and trying to figure out, oh, is he the one who did it? And eventually he gets Willie to confess, yes. So I guess whenever the golem and everything, when all that went down, it sort of fried his brain, and now he has telekinetic abilities. And so he is making things move back at the school, and then just letting them think it was a ghost. And Terry's like, if you're doing this, why couldn't you just escape? And he goes, oh, I could, but I'd rather just get released, and that way I can, be free and have a normal life again. So this is all on camera. Willie does escape once he realizes that everybody knows it's him now. He escapes. He goes back to the school. He attacks. Bruce arms Terry with this little gun to knock him out. The gun gets destroyed. So Batman and Willie have a fight in the school while Willie's trying to take out this Nelson guy again. Eventually, Willie sort of loses control, creates this whirlwind of like telekinetic energy, and ends up knocking himself out with like a post. And he goes back into the lockup, except now his new powers are being subdued by some sort of device. And Terry sits down with his little brother to review some old photos and to tell stories about his dad, and says, you're not forgetting him. As long as you keep remembering him, he'll always be there with you. And that is Revenant. So, Brendan, what'd you think of this one?
You mentioned Bruce's comment in there before about it all feeling just very all too high school.
Yeah.
And that kind of sums up the episode. It was like, it was a high school bullying thing, really. Like, I honestly, I couldn't really remember Willie Watt from the first season, and I know we did that episode together. I'd forgotten about him. The whole plot was just, and the thing is too, he beats Terry. Like, Terry doesn't beat this guy. Like, the only reason that he gets stopped is because he gets sort of hung by his own petard. Like, he knocks himself out whilst, controlling he essentially creates a tornado, and a tree gets sucked up and knocks himself out. Like, Batman doesn't win. And Batman should be able to win against a high school kid with a grudge. This isn't... I know I sound like a broken record, although there are some episodes that stand out, and I do actually quite like them, but this is one where I was just like, I don't care. Like, it's a... And I can't believe that they actually had Bruce call it out. Like, this feels all too high school, and that's exactly how I felt about the episode. I didn't really like it.
As soon as he said that, I knew you would be like, I agree.
Well, I was already feeling like that. I'm like, why do I care about this high school drama stuff? And then, like I said, I can't believe they had Bruce actually call it out. Like, he's calling out the flaw of the episode. And I'm like, damn straight it feels too high school. And it doesn't, it never changes from there.
It made me laugh because, they kind of called it out. So, well, I mean, as is tradition, I pretty much liked it. You didn't. So this is what we do. I didn't really like it at first. Like, the first act where it was like, oh, there's this ghost and all these objects in the school are attacking these kids. And I was just like, oh, where are they going with this? Like, I'm not feeling it. But then when they revealed it was Willie Watt and that it was a callback, essentially a sequel episode to a season 1 episode, that I thought was kind of neat. And I like that they allowed his character to evolve, so it wasn't just the same thing of like, oh, he escapes and now he's got the golem again and now Terry has to bring down the golem again. I like that the incident from the first one had an effect on him, and now he doesn't even need the golem. He is a threat in and of himself. And I like the fact of him screwing with all of these people in the school while he is still locked up. Like, I actually really liked all that stuff. And then I really liked the subplot with the brother. I think that I wish they'd gone further with it, because it's really
nice.
just...
I will say that was nice.
Because it's something they haven't gone too into, the fact that Terry lost his father. It's mentioned, but like, to actually see that have repercussions on his family and to hear the family talk about it, I actually really loved that. I wanted more of that, honestly, because it's really just 2 scenes, but it's really good, and it gives sort of a strong emotional core to the episode. It was really nice. I was impressed by it. And then, like the scene with Bruce, I thought was great, as far as him being like, listen, I've seen it all, but there's still something here that doesn't add up. But I do agree with you, like, in the big finale, like, once that gun gets destroyed, I went, oh, cool. Now Terry has to defeat him without the ace up his sleeve. He has to do it on his own. He has to do it by his wits alone. And really, it's just dumb luck that he, quote-unquote, wins, because he doesn't even do it. He just kind of lets Willie freak out. And because Willie freaks out, he ends up knocking himself out. And so, I wanted Terry to do something clever and honestly, that could have just been Terry goading him into losing control so he knocks himself out, and it would have felt better and less random than what happens.
Yeah. Like, I honestly thought the whole with the gun getting destroyed, I thought that was, going to be part of the plan all along, and like that was done as something to throw him off, and then Terry actually had the real gun somewhere else, or But I mean, even the scene early on in the episode where the bully, who's played by Seth Green, actually,
Right.
they're in the gym or wherever, and like this huge computer monitor or big screen, whatever it is like moving towards them. Like, there's a good 10, 15 seconds there where like Batman has the bully and they're just standing there, watch this screen come towards them. It's like, dude, you've got like jetpack boots and stuff. Like, why aren't you flying out of the way? Or I don't know, it just seemed really weird. Like, they kind of depowered Terry. Like he wraps the bully up in a mat and throws him out of a window. And it's like, man, you can fly. Like, what are you doing? It was bizarre at times, I thought.
I really liked the way he wrapped him in the mat and threw him out the window. I thought that was awesome. And I mean, yes, he can fly, but maybe that's the issue, is that Nelson is this big dude. He can't pick up a dude that big, like, and carry it and fly off with him. So I liked that he wrapped him in the mat and tossed him out the window. It was actually, I thought, a pretty cool solution to that. And then he did fly after him. So
yeah, I don't know. I thought it struck me as weird.
that didn't bother me. I actually thought it was clever.
Yeah. Oh, it is what it is.
Well, all right. What's your letter grade for this one?
Big old C.
Okay. I'd go to the B+. I liked it. So, a C and a B+, again, this is what we usually do. But yeah, it was, because I think it was one of those that even the first time we talked, like when we did the Golem episode, I even was like, oh, did we ever see this kid again? I don't remember. And I like that we did see him again, and they actually did something new with him. So anyway, I liked it. Next one up is Babel. So whenever we get to it, I don't know when that'll be, but whenever we do another one, it is Babel, Season 2, Episode 12. But that's it for Batman Beyond. Now, as always, let's check in with you fine folks as we crack open the Wayne Manor mailbox. It's time again for the Wayne Manor mailbox.
You've got mail.
Darren. What is? A letter for me.
Maybe temporary.
She wrote a letter.
You're one hell of a messenger. This is all, Master Wayne.
All right, first message here. It made me laugh. This one is from Hugh Morris. And he says, hey there. All these rumors are going around. I don't know. I don't know what to think anymore. I might start unfollowing a bunch of stuff and just wait till something becomes official. Help me out. Hope all is well. I'll just say you and me both, Hugh.
Yeah.
You and me both. As I said on a recent episode, I can't remember which one it was, but relatively recently, I get so frustrated with it because I know so much of it is just made up in order to get traffic, and it drives me nuts, and I need to stop letting it drive me nuts. But that's what happens is, people see one rumor catch fire on the internet, so then they make up one and hope that enough people share it, and then that's what happens. And then, we don't know what to believe anymore. We can't believe anything anymore. So I feel your pain. I wish I could help, but they're gonna keep doing it, and there's not much we can do to stop them other than not sharing it.
Yeah. There's a few, I don't want to be the asshole who calls out specific accounts, but there are some that if you see the article is coming from them with no real sources or anything, it's BS. For me, and I know I'm the same as you, unless it's Variety, Hollywood Reporter, not what's the other, sort of the big three, Hollywood Reporter, Entertainment Weekly. What's the other one?
It's Variety, Hollywood Reporter.
Variety's the one, yeah.
Variety and the Hollywood Reporter are the big ones.
Unless it's them, I don't put much stock in it. Unless it's something like, the crew that broke the story with Michael Keaton coming back, they ran it as an exclusive, and then pretty much straight away, all your main trades started publishing it as well. Like, unless it's from them, take it with a huge, huge bucket of salt.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's just it. So, like, it was the Wrap that initially reported the Michael Keaton thing, but yeah, then Variety ran it, and the Hollywood Reporter ran it, and you go, okay, but then a day or two later, someone who will remain nameless tried to say that Ryan Reynolds is coming back as Green Lantern.
Oh, God.
And guess who didn't run it? Variety didn't run it. Hollywood Reporter didn't run it. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Because those more credible sources will check those rumors and go, is there anything here? And if there's not, they don't run it. So that's why the Green Lantern thing just stayed on the outskirts. And that's why I don't buy it. And then there's a certain account that I will not say by name, but has been really bad over the past month in desperately putting out rumors, trying to get traffic. And they're the ones who said, oh, yeah. They keep running different versions of Ben Affleck is coming back. And it's like, again, it's manipulative and it's BS.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, as I said to you when we were talking about it privately, that I was like, well, no shit, he's coming back. Like, Justice League, the Snyder version, is coming out. So technically, yes, he's coming back, but that doesn't mean anything beyond that. And look, I'd love them to be right, but there's nothing to base it on at the moment.
Yeah. Anyway, so point is, we feel your pain. I don't know. All I can say is, don't share it. Don't retweet it. Like, ignore the bad rumors, because if you share it, that just gives them reason to keep doing it. Yeah. All right, next message is from Willis Orr. It says, hey, is there a possibility that if Tim Burton returns to DC, he could direct an adaptation of The Dark Knight Returns with Michael Keaton, Michelle Pfeiffer, and maybe Daisy Ridley as Carrie Kelly? Brendan, what do you think?
I don't know.
I highly doubt it, but
I don't see Burton coming back to DC. Like, Keaton coming back is one thing, but I don't know. I feel like Tim Burton's the kind of guy that would feel like, no, I made that. I did that 30 years ago. Like, I'm good for superhero movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I would be shocked if that were to happen. And I feel like, as we've said in the past, is like, Dark Knight Returns, they could do it someday, but God, so much of Batman vs. Superman was pulled from Dark Knight Returns that it still feels too soon anyway.
Yep, definitely.
All right, next one is from our pal Julian Chan. It says, hey, hope everyone's fine. I suspect you're going to get a lot of mail, but I wanted to talk about Michael Keaton in the Flash movie. Not being an Uber fan, I'm okay with it, but I would have preferred Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Thomas Wayne. So here are my questions. What do you think Keaton's involvement will be? I suspect he'll be Bruce Wayne only and not be suiting up. And number two, if Batfleck dies in Snyder's Justice League, do you expect Keaton to appear in cameos in future DCEU movies? Personally, I hope Batman doesn't die in Justice League and they recast. I don't like the thought of there being no active Batman in the connected universe. And three, are you excited for FanDome? I am. That's it for now. Jazzy Jules. Thanks, Jazzy Jules. Good to hear from you. Speaking of suiting up or not, we discussed that on the last episode, but then again, there was follow-up, and I can't remember where it originated, but one of the follow-ups said that, yes, he indeed will be suiting up as Batman.
And it was one of the trades too. Like, it was one of the big ones.
Yes, and it was it was one of the legit ones. So yes, I think that he will suit up. But I don't know if Batman will die in Zack Snyder's Justice League, because I felt like that was supposed to be Justice League 2. So that's a great question. Like, will Zack bump it up and make it happen in this movie? And if he does, like, how does that work? Like, did they already shoot that? Like, was that already part of the plan? Was it going to, or was he going to survive this one and it was going to be in 2 that now we probably won't get to? I don't know. Like, man, your guess is as good as mine. I look forward to seeing what happens. But my understanding, and I did get some pushback on this of people who, like, disagree, but I'm like, hey, this is just what I've heard. Like, time will tell, as Henry Cavill says, time will tell. I can only tell you what I've heard, is that after Flashpoint, yes, Michael Keaton will be the in-continuity Batman. That's what I heard.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the Thomas Wayne Batman either, to be honest. Like, I'm not fanging to see that happen in live action. So I'm not a huge cheerleader for that at all. But I'm in agreement with you with everything else. Like, there's nothing I can really add that you haven't already said.
Okay. Yeah, and like, I would have loved to have seen Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Thomas Wayne Batman. I think that's great casting. He would have been great, but like, I'm also not heartbroken about it. Like, I would have happily seen it, but it's not something that like you said, you know, like I like my Batman Bruce Wayne, you know, like, so I'm not as, to me it's not as important to get a cinematic Thomas Wayne Batman.
Yeah, agreed.
Next message is from Gabe Nakamura. It says, hey, do you think that the Batman should have a dedication to Denny O'Neil in the credits? Thanks for taking my question. Thanks, Gabe. Good to hear from you. What do you think, Brendan?
Yeah, that'd be great. Like, that's something I didn't even think of. But yeah, in loving memory of Denny O'Neil. Shit, yeah. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would be awesome. So, yep, share the love. Next question is from Eric Newman. It says, hey guys, with Keaton returning as Batman and possibly more than one film, I've got some speculation to throw at you. Number one, what do you think about a reference in Flashpoint to a Batman 89 Justice League? Maybe Ezra's Flash is stuck in the Burtonverse and he needs help getting home and fighting off the big bad. After meeting Batman, imagine Keaton laying out some story about how he used to have a team as well, but they're no longer together. We could see images of the Linda Carter Wonder Woman, John Wesley Shipp's The Flash, and Christopher Reeve's Superman. Number two, by the end of the film, Keaton's Batman is now in our DCEU. Do we see the Snyder Justice League welcoming him to the team, maybe setting up a Justice League film or something to that effect, and explain away Affleck no longer being Batman? Thanks for everything that you do with the show, Eric. Thanks, Eric. I mean, Brendan, what do you think? I'll let you go first.
The first one, not so much. I feel like Keaton's Batman is sort of the lone Dark Knight. Like, I can't see him sorry to paraphrase from the movie, I can't see him playing well with others. But the second part, I could see that happening. And based on the information they've given, that kind of sounds like what may happen. Flashpoint, some event, they explain away the Affleck Batman, Keaton comes in, and you see him as kind of as the mentor. He may not have been a team player previously, but he's got the experience to help the guys out. So, yeah. I mean, I agree. The first one, I think it would be cool if they could somehow make it work, but I wouldn't hold my breath. But yeah, I mean, if it's true that he will become the in-continuity one, then they'll have to make some way to make it clear. I don't know if I would expect to see the entire Justice League in it, but I mean, who knows? I know that's not very helpful. Sorry, but we'll see. All right, next message. This one is from Alvin. It says, with Michael Keaton returning as Batman and maybe Tim Burton, is it possible that we could see Nicolas Cage play Superman? Would you like to see Nicolas Cage finally play Superman? Thank you, Alvin. What do you think, Brendan? God, I hope not. Again, I don't know where this Burton stuff's coming from. Like, there's nothing I've seen where he's given any indication that he wants to come back. Look,
it hasn't.
I mean, I've watched the Death of Superman Lives and all that kind of stuff. Like, I've never been able to picture Nicolas Cage as Superman. It's aesthetically, it's never worked for me. Like, I get that in that sort of 98, 99 time period, he was an A-list, get bums on seats kind of movie star. So that makes sense in that regard. And he's a massive Superman fan, but I don't see him in the role. I just really don't. But I mean, also, he wouldn't have time to play Superman now. Like, he's got at least 10 more straight to DVD movies to make, this year alone. So
yeah, I mean, I would have loved to have seen that movie when it happened. I'll disagree with Brendan on that one, as I think it could have been awesome. It drives me crazy that we'll never get to see it. But now, I mean, again, right now anything is possible, but I'm not really counting on it, and I'm not even asking for it. I just feel like the time has passed. So next message is from Kieran. It says, "Hey, I love your show. Top stuff. In the previous episode, you mentioned Clayface. I'd love to see a mystery film with Clayface as the villain, a film in which Batman has to find out who the villain is while Clayface morphs into other villains to set them up. Your show has inspired me and my mate to start our own DC podcast here in Western Australia called the Captain Boomerang Show. We've yet to start, but at the moment we're planning. Would be cool to chat sometime. Stay safe. Keep up the great work. Thanks, Kieran. Good to hear from you, and best of luck on the Captain Boomerang Show. If you need another Aussie, I know one who is always around."
Who?
You!
When you were reading that out, I'm like, I swear this is going to be an Australian.
But as for like a Clayface movie, yeah, like it could be really fun.
Yeah, I mean, I watched Feet of Clay a couple of days ago for the first time in a while, and I would never call myself a big Clayface fan, but watching that two-parter from Batman the Animated Series for the first time in quite a while, like, there's definitely something to be explored there, I think. Yeah, particularly with technology today, it would definitely be doable. And as much as I think a lot of the big name rogues still haven't had their day in the sun as far as big screen adaptations go, you kind of can't keep regurgitating the same villains over and over as well. If we want an ongoing Batman cinematic series or universe, or even spin-off films with other characters, like Clayface could be in one of those movies as well. I'd definitely be keen to see it, but yeah, and let us know when your show launches. I'll definitely give it a listen, check it out. So,
hey, cool. All right, next message from Tom Fallows. It says, "Hey, I was wondering, with Affleck's Batman being older and Pattinson's being younger, it seems like people are more attracted to a young Batman or an old Batman rather than a Batman in his prime. Even Nolan time skipped to get Batman older. What is the appeal of these two parts of Batman's life? Also, in your opinion, what age is Batman in his prime to you? Thank you for the podcast, Tom Fallows." Thanks, Tom. So, I mean, first of all, I agree with you. I feel like we've discussed that before on the show, is that, yeah, like, they want to do Batman starting out and they want to do Batman wrapping up, but I want to see Batman in his prime. And I think it's because you have more story that you can call from a Batman who is figuring it out, who is starting out, because then you can fold in layers of him figuring it out and getting started and, like, becoming Batman. That just gives you, I think, more to play with. And the same thing of, like, him being older and past his prime. Like, in his prime, it's, I wonder if people feel like, oh, that's neutral, that's not as interesting. But I still think you could definitely make it interesting. I don't know, what do you think, Brandon?
I think the appeal comes from two comics, Batman Year One and The Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah,
they're the two that people always tend to point to. It's so weird. I mean, Batman in his prime is, to me, where the prime storytelling is. Like, I don't want to. I know we've had this conversation before. I mean, yeah, I know Batman Begins is 15 years ago now, which is quite a while, I guess, in terms of comic book movies and reboots these days, but it's still quite modern, and it was done so well. And that's the thing that made me raise an eyebrow with the Pattinson thing when we first learned that it was a young Batman starting out. It's like, but I've already got that, and I've already got a really good version of it. I'm not fanging to see that again. And, the last two Batman on the big screen have been an older version of Bruce Wayne. And they've both been good as well. So I've seen that. I want Batman the Animated Series Batman in terms of, he's just in his prime constantly. I want to see that Batman go up against multiple members of his rogues gallery. I don't know why they always feel that they need to put some sort of spin on it. It's like, no, this has worked for 81 years now. And I mean, even Batman 89, like, yeah, he was starting out in terms of, the media and the police were still working out who he was, but he wasn't. He was never on the back foot in Batman 89. He was Batman. He, in all those 4 original movies, he was always Batman. He was never starting out. He was never too old. Like, he was just Batman in his prime. And I want so much more of that. It's, it boggles the mind that they can't give us the most obvious version, and that's the one that I think people desperately want to see. It's the big criticism when it comes to the trilogy. It's the Nolan trilogy. It's like, we skipped so much time there because of the whole, Kim quitting thing. It's like, no, that's the stuff that we want to see.
Mm-hmm.
But, and in terms of, what age do... I always put him at sort of 35 to 40.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to say 35.
Yeah, somewhere around there. But yeah, like, Warner Brothers, seriously, I know you're not listening, but if you are, just give me Batman. There doesn't need to be like a caveat to it or a little asterisk. It's just give me Batman.
Yep, I know. All right, next message is from our pal Stephen Marshall. It says, hey, I gotta say I'm incredibly excited about DC FanDome. I know we should keep our expectations in check, but I can't help feeling that they're about to blow the bloody doors off when it comes to DC on film. I think this is a typo. I hope they'll clarify the Keaton rumors. I wouldn't be shocked if Henry Cavill joined the cast of Black Adam or even Shazam to announce his appearances in those films. What are some of the things you would like to see announced at FanDome? And secondly, what are your thoughts on the Superman Man of Tomorrow animated trailer? Lastly, I wanted to say RIP to Denny O'Neil and Joel Schumacher. Their legacies will live on in the content that they created, and they will never be forgotten. Kind regards, Steven. Thanks, Steven. So, we've talked about FanDome a couple times, but is there something that you're really holding your breath for, Brendan, that you're hoping will get announced at FanDome?
I mean, some of those movies we talked about earlier, I honestly don't know. The thing that I'm looking forward to the most about that is getting surprise announcements. I mean, that's one of the beauties of Comic-Con is over that weekend of, almost every hour, just something happening on your phone. Oh crap, they've announced this, or oh, this is coming, and that's really cool. And the fact that it's 100% DC content. That there's no one specific thing that I'm looking forward to the most. It's going to be the surprise of the entire weekend. That's what I'm looking forward to, of not knowing. Like Christmas morning, like all your presents, you see them under the tree, and you're kind of like, oh, I wonder what that is. Wonder what that is. Wonder what that is. Like, it's the anticipation that's the best part.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely not like anything super specific that I'm holding my breath for, but I guess I would say is just more content around the Batman.
Yeah.
I want to see some of the villains, how they look, maybe some footage. I think that's the stuff maybe I'm looking forward to the most. And then as you said, just the surprises. Like, I try not to get my hopes up. Like, oh, if I don't see this, it's going to be disappointing. It's like, no, they'll give us stuff, and so I'd rather just see what that is and enjoy the surprise.
Yeah, agreed.
And then the Man of Tomorrow trailer, I still haven't watched it.
I watched it once a couple of weeks ago, so the details are foggy, but it looks good. Like the animation style looks good. I like that it's clearly a one-off story. I like the time frame that it appears to be set in. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it because I like that they're switching up the style and that like it's got a new cast and everything. But I just haven't gotten around to the trailer. But I think I said it more than once now. It was like I don't always watch the trailers anymore because I just know I'm going to watch the movie when it comes out.
Yeah, and they come out sort of quarterly, so you never have to wait too long between them.
Right. We still have to do Red Son.
Yes, we
still
do.
on the to-do list. Yeah. All right, next message is from Jeffrey. It says, hey, while the Keaton news is exciting, I have a concern. Since Pattinson is his own thing and Batfleck is done, that leaves Keaton as the main continuity Batman. It sounds cool because of it being an older Batman, but doesn't this take Batman off the field and make him the guy in the chair sitting at a computer? Think about it. We've got an active Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Aquaman, and Shazam all in their primes. If and when they decide to do a crossover, I feel like it'd be kind of lame to have a 60 to 65-year-old Bruce sitting in the Batcave in a turtleneck while the Justice League is out fighting. Maybe I'm missing something, but I don't know about old Bruce being the Nick Fury of the League. Looking forward to your thoughts. Jeffrey. Thanks, Jeffrey. What do you think, Brendan?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't disagree. But if this is the route they're going to take, I'm curious to see where it goes. I mean, this could be where a Batgirl comes into play. To have sort of a bit more female representation on the team as well, which wouldn't be a bad thing. But yeah, who knows? I mean, this is a better conversation than what we were faced with, which was, there being no Batman presence in a potential future Justice League movie because Affleck's done. So,
yeah,
I'm curious to see where it goes, but I do understand the concern completely.
Yeah, I completely agree too. It's like, yes, like I would rather have an active in his prime Batman that would be out in action with them. But I think it's kind of what we talked about on the last episode where it's like, well, this is sort of a way for them to have it both ways of like, well, they make him more of the, the strategist for the Justice League. And that way there's no confusion with the younger Batman that's Robert Pattinson. So I get what they're doing in keeping the two versions very separate. But yeah, I totally understand what you're saying and I get it.
Yeah.
Next message is from Brian. It says, hey, hope you're doing well. On your last episode, you mentioned, or someone, a listener mentioned that he felt the Dark Knight trilogy was losing its luster. You guys discussed reasons why, and I have a potential theory. I apologize if it's too lengthy. When Batman Beyond was released in the mid-2000s, the standard formula was a trilogy for a franchise, and then actors left after the third film, and there was no crossover with other comic characters. No one would use this concept, making a self-contained franchise with no interaction and other characters, and it worked perfectly with a clear beginning, middle, and end. He'd also treat the film seriously that non-comic fans appreciated. For people our age, over 35, we would see this as normal for these films, and for Batman fans of this age group, these films are the Michael Jordan of comic book films. However, the new generation, under the age of 28, are used to seeing their favorite characters in comics with the rise of Marvel, and to a lesser extent DC, interact with other heroes and crisscross between franchises, where they see their favorite characters in 6 or more films, in a massive overarching world. Marvel would also step away from the seriousness and embrace the quote-unquote fun and comic book elements while keeping an engaging story. Personally, I believe it's the younger crowd that tend to poke holes in the Dark Knight trilogy due to the fact that they grew up in a different time, where a simple trilogy and a superhero set in the real world seems old-fashioned. Maybe the Dark Knight trilogy needs a Last Dance 10-part documentary to remind people how good those films were, much like Jordan had his. Not to sound like Grandpa Simpson and shake my fist at the clouds, but I believe it to be a generational thing. Secondly, with Tenet on the horizon, what are your 3 favorite Nolan films, excluding the Dark Knight trilogy? Mine are Inception, The Prestige, and Dunkirk. Sorry for the lengthy email. I tried to shorten it. Stay safe. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate your thoughts. Brendan, what do you think of Brian's theory?
Yeah, lot to take in there. I mean, I've seen criticism come from sort of people our age as well. I mean, even I've said, like, and I know Guy Milks has the same sentiment that, like, as good as those films are, I think in some ways their reputation has kind of worked against them, or well, not worked against them, but worked against future DC properties as well, because they were so successful. You know, if it's not making Dark Knight money, they sort of tend to think of it as somewhat of a failure. But yeah, I'd love to see a 10-part documentary series on it. Don't get me wrong, that'd be awesome. And I'm honestly, in terms of my Nolan films, I've got the same 3 that he does. But I mean, I love The Prestige. It's my favorite non-Batman Nolan film. I love that movie. So cool.
Yeah. I think your theory is really interesting, and I don't think you're wrong. I think it's very valid. Because I wouldn't even call it a generational thing. But I will say, and it is also one of the issues I have with the Nolan trilogy. As much as I love the Nolan trilogy, it always bothered me that he felt like certain things were off limits because they weren't real world enough. You know, like there were just certain things he was like, well, that'll just never fly, and so I'm not gonna do it. And I think especially with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it showed that, anything can fly if you commit to it. Yeah. Like as crazy, as comic booky, as weird, as magical, as sci-fi, whatever, it can all work if you commit to it. And Nolan, he felt like he had these guardrails for his Batman films of like, nope, if it doesn't feel feasible in a real world, we don't do it because it wouldn't work. And I just feel like that's been proven not to be true. Is no, anything can work if you make it work. And so to your point, yeah, maybe those just feel a little old-fashioned in that way. So I mean, again, I think it's a very valid point, and I'm not saying one is better than the other, because again, I do love the Nolan films. I think Batman Begins and The Dark Knight are masterpieces, and I wouldn't change them at all. But I do think that, yeah, like now people have gotten used to seeing comic book films really go a lot more comic booky, and that's not what the Nolan films are. So like, it's just, I think it's a matter of taste, maybe. As for the non-Batman Nolan films, I agree with Inception and The Prestige, but I would say Interstellar. I like Interstellar more than Dunkirk.
Fair enough.
Next message is from our pal Mohammed. It says, hey, I've just recently watched Apocalypse War. I've got to say I agree with you. I enjoyed some parts and I hated some parts, including King Shark. But now that there's a reboot, what do you guys hope to see? I must say I'm not really digging the new animation style shown in the Man of Tomorrow trailer, but I hope it'll grow on me. What are your favorite animated movies that are not DC? Mine are the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy, the Kung Fu Panda trilogy, Spirited Away, Klaus, A Christmas Carol, Loving Vincent, Kubo and the Two Strings, Iron Giant, and Grave of the Fireflies. Stay safe and regards, Mohammed. And I won't say his last name because apparently I had to say it wrong. I feel like we talked about in the past, is like, as far as DC animated movies, what do you hope to see, Brendan?
Whether they go, personally, I wouldn't mind them just to go back to standalones, to be honest. And that's why I don't think you've got a real concern with the animation style of Man of Tomorrow, because I think it's probably just going to be for that movie. Yeah, if they want to do interconnected stuff again, cool, that's fine, but I'm in no rush to see it. I'd love to see him go back to what they were like 10 years ago.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I do think that there's something to be said for, like, if they wanted to do, like, instead of making it like this, whatever, huge overarching connected universe, if they were like, no, but we are going to do a trilogy or something, you know, like if we're going to do we're going to do Nightfall, Night Quest, and Night's End and make 3 movies. Like, something like that could be really cool. But like, yeah, like trying to tie everything into some sort of continuity, like I felt like was maybe a bit too much. And I like the freedom that they can get by now, just not having to worry about that.
Yeah.
And then favorite non-DC animated films.
Sword in the Stone's my favorite Disney movie.
And that stupid wolf.
I also really like a Goofy movie. Aladdin, Road to El Dorado is one that I really enjoy. Finding Nemo, Tangled. Just trying to think. I mean, yeah, The Iron Giant's really good as well. That's all that's coming to mind. I'll probably think of others, but that's sort of what's jumping to mind. Oh, Big Hero 6 too.
Okay. Muhammad, if I may, I would point you towards another podcast called Disorder, Every Disney Film, where we're looking at every Disney animated feature in order. I think you might enjoy it. Maybe you already listen. I don't know. But we talk obviously a lot about Disney animation, but then, of course, questions come up about non-Disney animation. But favorite animated films, Pinocchio, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Big Hero 6, Wreck-It Ralph, Sleeping Beauty. As you said...
That's another one. I forgot.
As you said, Kubo and the Two Strings, as well as Paranorman.
That's a great movie.
A Bug's Life, the original Toy Story. I love those. The How to Train Your Dragon trilogy, I agree with you on those. As far as DreamWorks goes, those are my favorites from DreamWorks. So yeah, there's just a few. So, thanks. Next question here is from Kendrick. It says, hey guys, first, I was talking about Batman Forever. He says, first, I'd like to thank Andy for doing the Batman Forever commentary. It sounds like he hates Batman Forever as much as I hate the Rian Johnson movie that tainted Star Wars. Your hate for it and you getting buzzed or drunk was hilarious.
It was very funny.
Well, good. Happy to help. He says, Batman Forever was my favorite way back when. I was 4 when Returns came out, and I think I saw both Burton films right before Forever came out. It always reminds me of being with my dad. One night after he got off work, we tried to catch a viewing, but we were too late. He was not in the best health, so later that year for Christmas, he and my mom gave me a great Christmas. I remember him sitting with me by the tree as I opened my gifts, which were the VHS of Batman Forever, the Batmobile, and the Batwing. I know it's not the best Batman movie, but it's not the worst. Kendrick. Thank you, Kendrick. I appreciate the message. And, well, I'm glad that you appreciated the commentary. And, yeah, I totally get that. Like, if that's something that's a very personal family memory, of course you're going to love it. And that's great. And as well you should. So thank you for sharing some Batman Forever Christmas memories. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was nice. And, I'm always down for a little bit of Batman Forever love, so.
Yep. All right, next message is from Tommy Sanders. It says, hey, I'd like your thoughts on some online complaining about Jeffrey Dean Morgan not playing Thomas Wayne Batman in the upcoming Flash movie. Would you like to see it? Would you like to see Lauren Cohen as the Joker or in a future movie? Thanks, Tommy. Well, we kind of covered this a little bit in that, I said I would like to see it, but I'm not heartbroken if it doesn't happen. It's not something I was like holding my breath for. Of course, I would watch both of those actors play those versions if the movie happened and it made sense. But I'm not. Yeah, again, I'm not that invested that it's going to break my heart if it doesn't happen. Brendan?
Yeah, agreed. And I get that there's fans of Flashpoint out there, and that's great. Like it is a really cool story, but it's also one that general audiences. It's going to confuse the hell out of them, I think. Yeah, I just... Given the state that DC films were in after BVS, I think it would be foolish to do something like that. Like, it's not going to make it better. It's probably just going to make it worse in terms of a general audience viewing, because it's not going to make any sense.
Yeah. All right, next message is from Kyle Refner. It says, hey guys, assuming that the Keaton rumors are true, what do you think the Batsuit will look like? Do you think that we'll get all black with the yellow oval, or do you think he'll move into a black and gray with no oval, similar to Batflex? Personally, I hope they take the opportunity to keep the yellow oval and introduce the gray and blue. I also think it'd be acceptable to put him in a Batman Beyond suit. I think a lot of people forget that suit was designed and worn by Bruce before Terry was even born. I've always been curious on what Batman's career looked like when he lost all his allies and made his change to that suit. I think it'd be cool to explore. Take care, Kyle. Thanks, Kyle. What do you think, Brendan? What do you think his suit will look like?
I'd
happens.
honestly just like to see an updated version of his suit. Whether it's I'd probably lean more towards the '89 look as opposed to the Returns look. Maybe with the Returns style cowl, but yeah, just a more modern, updated version of that suit.
Yeah. I don't want it to be too far off because, I mean, the whole point of bringing him in is we get to see that Batman again. So I want the suit to still look like it lives in the same family as the two suits that he wore in his movies. I would expect them to be a little less rubbery, maybe a little more armored since he's older.
Yeah.
But I still want that same style. So yeah, I would expect it to be all black, but probably with the yellow oval. I know that I had seen some speculation that it might be closer to like a Kingdom Come suit, which is definitely more armored. And I think that could work again, but I just don't want to lose the look of the designs from Batman and Batman Returns. This next message is from Michael Murphy, kind of along the same lines. It says, do you think that Andy Muschietti will recreate Anton Furst or Bo Welch's Gotham City from the Burton films for Flashpoint? Thanks, Michael. What do you think, Brendan?
I think to a small degree, probably. At bare minimum, I'd like to see the Batcave and the Batmobile. But aside from that, I'd very much lean more towards the Anton Furst Gotham than the soundstage that was Batman Returns Gotham.
Honestly, like if it were up to me, I would mesh them. Because then it would solve an issue I've had for 30 years where I'm like, it's not the same Gotham. Why isn't it the same? But if you can put them both in the same Gotham, I can go, okay, finally, it is all the same. But yeah, like if he's going to choose one or the other, he's probably going to lean towards Batman 89 because it's the more beloved one.
Yeah.
So that's what I would expect. Next message is from Ruby D. It says, hey guys, would the hype and build up for a Joel Schumacher third Batman movie have been the same as Forever and Batman and Robin? Also, would Harley Quinn prosthetics on Courtney Love have looked like Jack Nicholson's on the Joker? Ruby, thank you for the message. What do you think, Brendan?
I don't think so, because Batman and Robin was still Batman and Robin. Yeah, so I think it would have had to be a bit of a gap in time to make people want a Batman movie again. But yeah, it's a tough question. I can't imagine it being anywhere near the level of hype after Batman and Robin. And I'd never thought of, Harley wearing prosthetics, but I guess if you're setting it in the world of the Jack Nicholson Joker, it would make sense. But yeah, I would have been interesting to see what they did with that. But yeah,
I agree with you. Like, it would have been very hard to get that level of hype following Batman and Robin, which is why it didn't happen. So I think if it were to go forward, they probably would have tried. I just don't know if it would have worked. And yeah, like what Brandon said, I never once pictured a Harley Quinn with the Joker prosthetics, but it would have been a kind of clever way to connect it to Nicholson's Joker if that's what they wanted to do.
And with those original 4 movies too, I never really felt like they ran the series into the ground. It was just that the last movie, because Batman Forever, love it or hate it, like there was still a lot of hype around that movie, and it was still successful. Whereas Batman and Robin, I didn't even feel there was as much hype around it because it was only the 2-year gap. Like, it didn't feel like there was enough time for the hype to build again. It just kind of felt like a watered down version of what had come 2 years prior. Whereas if they'd repeated it again, and it was equal to or less successful as Batman and Robin because of the Batman and Robin effect, then I felt they would have just run the franchise into the ground.
Yeah. Well, all right, next message here. Grant Ingram, it says, hey, I'm going to try and keep it brief, but I make no promises. With the announcement of Zack Snyder's Justice League, I had one question. Will it be canonical? Do you think they'll redo the canon of the original Justice League, or will it be a standalone? Also, with the return of Michael Keaton, do you think it's possible to see multiple Batmen in one movie? I think if Snyder's cut is successful, they'll back up the money truck to get Affleck back, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, thanks for the podcast. Keep up the great work, Grant. Great question, Grant. So, yeah, how do you think that Zack Snyder's Justice League will work as far as the canon of the DCEU?
That's a really good question, and one that I've been pondering pretty much since it was announced. I would hope that it does become canon, but in saying that too, I don't think it's got. I mean, it depends how it gets released. It's one of those things. I think streaming services globally would need to have the rights to it. So, because I mean, you release it at HBO Max, like, yeah, a lot of people are going to see it, but not as many people who would go to see a movie released in theaters. It would need to be seen by a lot of people around the world to, I think, effectively become canon. But I would like to see that happen because it's the movie we were supposed to get. It's what it was always supposed to be. So does that make sense? Like, yeah, it's, even though Justice League didn't make as much money as they wanted it to, even remotely, a lot of people still went and saw it, and it would probably still be, and a lot more general audience people probably went and saw it than what will actively seek out a recut version of that movie.
Yeah, I mean, it is a good question, and it's going to be really tricky. I mean, I feel like Zack Snyder's going to he's going to just make it what he wants to make it. Like, continuity be damned. Because this is his chance, right? And they're giving him the opportunity to do that. And so I don't think he's going to take any extra measures to try and make it fit with Wonder Woman 1984 or Aquaman 2 or anything. He's just going to make it what it is. But I still think it'll work because in Aquaman, all they mention is, yeah, you fought Steppenwolf. Well, in in Snyder's Justice League, he's still going to fight Steppenwolf. So, like, yeah, that still works. That's fine. So I feel like there won't be a lot of contradictions. And in the timeline, this is going to take place prior to Aquaman. And then Patty Jenkins can kind of do whatever she wants with Wonder Woman 3, whatever that might be. But Wonder Woman 84 is prior to this, so it doesn't matter. And then whatever happens with Flash and Cyborg, like, they can... So I don't know. I think most of the fans are going to choose to make this in their headcanon like this instead of the theatrical cut. And I think that I would hope that it's left in a place at the end of the movie that, like, that's fine. Like, it doesn't, that when the movie ends, you can still pick up all those characters where they left off and they can go on to their solo films and it still all works.
Yeah.
The only thing that would, like, absolve that is if, they kill everyone at the end of Justice League and all the characters are dead and then they can't go on to their solo films. So, like, which I don't anticipate happening, with the possibility of maybe Batman, which we know he's not going to do another film anyway, so it doesn't matter. But I think, I don't know, did that make sense? It makes sense in my brain. I don't know if I said it right, but anyway. And then, do you think we'll get multiple Batmen in one movie? I highly doubt it, but I don't know, never say never.
Yeah, it's like we said the other week, like, Michael Keaton's coming Batman, and anything's possible now.
All right, next message is from Todd Johnson. It says, hey, I love your show. Like Brendan, my passions are Batman, Bond, and Samara weaving. The order changes daily. Here we go with this. It says, on the last episode, you talked about how the perfect Joker hasn't been done yet. For me, it's Willem Dafoe. And after watching him and Pattinson eat up the screen in The Lighthouse, I'm positive it would be brilliant. Add Samara as Harley and take all my money. Thoughts? Thanks for all that you guys do and for going the extra mile for us fans. China, Australia, Indiana, what a headache. I know that just know that this guy appreciates it. Take care. Thank you, Todd. Thank you for appreciating it, because it ain't easy. But yeah, like the Willem Dafoe as Joker thing, yes, it's been said a lot. And I say what I'll always say is he's just too old now. I'm sorry. He's real. If it was a Dark Knight Returns story where it's an old Joker, I'd go, yeah, of course. 25 years ago, I would have gone, yeah, of course. But now as much as I love him as an actor and I think he could be a great Joker, I just think at this point he's too old. But
I agree.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree.
All right, next message is from Ralph Richards. It says, hey, hope all's well. I'm sure you'll get a ton of questions about Keaton, and I wanted to chime in. Number one, do you think bringing Keaton back into the main continuity and adding another cinematic Batman is a response to the reception so far to the Matt Reeves' Batman? Does the Keaton announcement take away from the excitement of seeing the Batman? Sorry, but I wanted to share a quick photo to shine some light on this gloomy world. My wife and I recently welcomed our firstborn, Reed Richards. Yes, that was intentional. And 3 days after his birth, I already had him learning about the world's greatest detective. Be well, keep up the good work. Best regards, Skip Richards. And he has this great photo of him holding his new son, Reed, and reading a Batman book to him.
Nice. Parenting
Adorable.
done right.
Yes, that's amazing. Well, first of all, congratulations, Skip, on the new addition to your family. That is awesome. And he's adorable, and I love that you're reading Batman to him. As for your questions, do you think that this is a response to the reception of Matt Reeves' Batman, and does it lessen your excitement for the Batman? Brendan?
I don't think it's a response to it at all. I mean, they have to address the fact that if they seem to want to keep this extended universe going, and I don't blame them because they do have money makers in there, you know. And if they're working on turning it around, they need to have a Batman. They just do. It is going to be a little odd having two versions going at the same time. I mean, that's a big part of what stopped Justice League Mortal from happening. You know, but it's not 2008 anymore. You know, we're in a world now where there's been multiple reboots. You know, things like Into the Spider-Verse exist. You can look at multiverse and things like that. And Matt Reeves was hired to do his own thing and not be part of the cinematic universe. So I think there's room for both versions, but I definitely don't think it's a reaction. I think if Affleck were willing to come back, we'd probably have the Affleck and Matt Reeves version going at the same time. It's just the world we live in.
Does it lessen your excitement for the Batman?
Oh, God, no.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what you said. No, I don't think it has anything to do with Matt Reeves as the Batman other than the fact that that's going to be on its own. So they're like, well, how can we have another Batman? But I don't think they were saying, oh no, people aren't liking what they're seeing, we'd better do something else. I don't think it's that at all. It's more just, we let Matt Reeves have his own self-contained Batman universe. So how do we still have a Batman for the in-continuity films? And I think this was the solution they came up with. But it has no bearing on my excitement for the Batman. My excitement for that movie is solely based on what I have seen from that movie and what I will see from that movie. So, all right. Well, we have one more email, but it's about Watchmen. So I'm going to save it for the Watchmen episode.
Oh, cool.
So we'll wrap this baby up. We'll close the Wayne Manor mailbox. As always, if you've got something for the Wayne Manor mailbox, you can send that to Holy BatCast at rf4rm.com. So we're going to wrap this baby up. Brendan, thank you as always for joining.
Not a worry, my friend. Yeah, it wasn't, like we said at the start of the show, it wasn't sort of what we planned on doing Sunday night, but like I said, can't think of a better way to see out the weekend. It was nice to catch up. We haven't spoken since Viva Rock Vegas.
I know. I mean, and for anybody listening, like, if you love the Flintstones and Viva Rock Vegas, we released an episode of Real Fans for Real Movies all about that film. So if you can't get enough of us talking Batman and you want to hear us talk Bedrock, check out Real Fans, because Viva Rock Vegas, we are the only podcast that celebrated 20 years of that movie.
We certainly are. And it was a really fun conversation, actually. It was, you, me, and Michael Lyons. It was a good time.
Yeah, Mark Addy should thank us personally.
He should.
I should tweet it out
Stephen
and tag him
Baldwin
and go,
should do this
hey.
personally.
That's true. That's true. Kristen Johnston probably would not thank me personally after that episode.
No. Not at all.
Anyway, no, it's good to be back, and yeah, it's been like a week and a half since BatCast, so like we needed to get something out there. But tell all of our friends where they can find you when you're not on this show.
You can find me on Twitter at Loey007, and you can find my show The Nightlight at thenightlight.podbean.com, and on Twitter at NightlightPod or Facebook.com/thenightlight.
Cool. And although Jamie he finally woke up. Did you see he messaged us being like, hey guys, I'm awake now. I'm like, well, yeah, that's real helpful, smart guy. But anyway, you can follow Jamie at BatRaider3960. So go give him a follow too. But that'll do it for this little catch-up episode of Holy BatCast. Thank you, as always, for joining us and for downloading the show. It does mean a lot to us. We appreciate it. Please do subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. Please rate and review us on iTunes. And as Michael Keaton's Batman says, and hopefully will say again, I want you to tell all your friends about me. Visit holybatcast.com. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast. And again, any emails you've got, you can send those to holybatcast@rf4rm.com. And your homework, again, watch The Watchmen, the HBO Watchmen, because we're going to talk about it next. At least I sure hope we will. But that'll do it. On behalf of Brendan, I've been Andy. This has been Holy BatCast. We'll see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Holy BatCast is brought to you by real fans for real movies. Remember, the thoughts and opinions shared by the participants are theirs and theirs alone, and do not represent the companies or organizations they happen to work for.